These are the cells of the condemned, where they waited for their death. See their graffiti, their final prayers, and their last hopes to see the world change. What are you doing here?
I lost my job. There are no more heads to cut.
No more heads?
There are no more heads to cut.
No more heads to cut, a macabre prompt from the stalls. It's from Peter Brook, rehearsing a production based on an experience he had on his travels many years ago.
What are you going to do without a prison to look at?
It will still be there.
Brook says he met a criminal in Afghanistan whose unusual punishment was to sit outside his prison, contemplating it. He seems like a noble inmate. I think others might have thought, well, here's a chance for me to abscond, but that would rather ruin the story, wouldn't it?
No, that is, he isn't an inmate, he's an outmate. Either he feels deeply that he needs to go through something for his crime, or he says, that's enough for it, okay boys, I'm off. And of course, it's human, that temptation cannot fail to be there, but he has recognized it, and that is part of the vast inner struggle that he has to live with.
He's the famous theatre producer, Peter Brook.
Once upon a time, Peter Brook was a familiar presence on the British cultural scene, ever willing to help out a struggling late-night current affairs show.
Various ways we found that playing a Yugoslav fiddle, in the end, sounded like a dog.
With his bent for the avant-garde and the experimental, it's no wonder he's revered in his adoptive France.
I think that the folly of all time for any of us living in Europe and in England is Brexit. It is something so narrow-minded, this old-fashioned thing that because we're an island, we mustn't have anything to do with those awful people on the continent.
We're taking back control, that's the argument of those who...
Yes. But on
we're
the other
freeing
hand,
ourselves of the shackles of
but
European
that's true,
regulation.
because all that is true. But the ideal that was at the beginning behind it, like the ideal of the United Nations, which alas hasn't lived up to it, but one can recognize the ideal, and the ideal of Europe bit by bit coming together.
Where oxlips and the nodding violet grows.
People still talk of Brook's Midsummer Night's Dream on trapezes.
Whether wonder you.
But lately he had his fellow directors rending their jodhpurs after he said middle-class theatre, as he put it, was deadly.
No, but I've left that ages ago. It's their business. It's not for me to, again, to criticize, rail against. That was 60 years ago. All I can tell you is that I like my friends. It's as simple as that. The whole of theatre is shared experience. An author who comes and gives you the play and then comes to the rehearsal, as in the old days, and saying, no, that's not my play, I say, fuck off.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Brook's productions have been a long way from the West End, with a progressive attitude to the canon and to casting. How well is theatre doing as a whole on this?
You can't trap me into generalizing. There are enough people doing that, and they're writing editorials and everything you want. But the fact that there are more and more women recognized in positions of power and authority is absolutely right. And that this natural integrating of the sexes and at the same time of the races is something that I'm really happy. That's the one thing, looking back over the years, that I'm really happy to have been right at the beginning of.
At 93, Brook doesn't enjoy the titles conferred on other grand men and women of the theatre.
I mean, they leave me cold. It's like colonialism. I wouldn't want that. But I was awarded something that I was told is the greatest thing of all. Beyond that, Her Majesty made me Companion of Honour my mind went back to the Knights of the Round Table, and I thought that I'm part of a little band of Her Majesty's Companions of Honour. We're all invited to a little meeting around her, of her close little circle. And to this day, years and years go by, but I'm still never invited.
I should think they'll be on the phone very shortly.
I hope so.
Peter, thank you very much.